All right, let's get right into it. We're tackling one of the toughest, most misunderstood topics there is, cutting ties with family. It's a decision that gets so much judgment, but what if there's something much deeper going on psychologically? Today, we're going to explore why walking away might not be an act of cruelty at all, but actually an act of profound courage.
Society is so quick to slap on these labels, right? Cold, ungrateful, selfish. But get this, the legendary psychoanalyst Carl Jung, after decades of seeing patients, he saw something else entirely. He didn't see broken people. He saw individuals who were maybe, just maybe, the sanest ones in the whole family. So, how on earth could that be true?
So, let's ask the big question. Is the person who leaves really the problem? Or are they just the first one brave enough to say, hey, something is seriously wrong here? We're about to reframe the whole story of the family black sheep using a Jungian perspective.
And wow, look at this contrast. It's just night and day. On one hand, you have the societal myth. They're selfish, they're weak, they're just causing drama for no reason. But Jung's reality, he flips that completely on its head. What he was saying is that these people are actually the most aware, that leaving isn't weak, it's the highest form of sanity. It's not causing drama. It's a perfectly logical response to a sick environment.
And Jung actually had a name for this person, the identified patient. Think of it this way. They're not the illness, they're the fever. They're the loud, blaring alarm that signals a deep infection running through the entire family system. They're the ones carrying all the symptoms of a dysfunction that everybody else is pretending isn't there. Okay, so what is it that creates such a toxic environment in the first place? Well, to really get it, we have to look at the invisible forces, these unspoken rules that govern the family. Jung came up with this really powerful idea called the family unconscious. It's like a collective shadow, this dark pool of secrets and denied truths that everyone quietly agrees to just not talk about. It's where abuse gets called discipline, or where neglect is spun as teaching independence. It's this invisible contract everyone signs to keep the peace, and the price of that peace is your silence. And to keep this whole charade going, family members get shoved into these really rigid, unhealthy roles. See if any of these sound familiar. You've got the scapegoat, the person who gets blamed for literally everything. There's the fixer, who's just burned out trying to glue everything back together. The golden child, who's practically suffocating under the weight of perfection. And of course, the identified patient, the one we were just talking about, the one who gets called too sensitive or the problem, simply because they see the truth. And this right here is the absolute heart of the issue. Jung's whole life's work was about individuation, that journey of becoming who you were truly meant to be. And that journey is completely impossible if you're stuck on a stage, playing a part in a script written by someone else's dysfunction. To find out who you really are, sometimes you have to walk off their stage. All right, so how does a person even get to that point, that breaking point? Well, let me tell you, it's almost never a rash, impulsive decision. It's usually the last painful, logical step after a very long journey. This almost never happens overnight. It's more like a death by 1,000 cuts. It comes after years of pain. It comes after exhausting every single option, trying to talk it out, trying to set boundaries, trying to forgive again and again, and then, finally, comes the crushing realization that nothing is ever going to change, and that's when the final straw hits. It's not a big explosion. It's a moment of quiet, cold, absolute clarity. And right there, in that moment, everything becomes crystal clear. It stops being about anger or hurt feelings. It's not an emotional outburst anymore. It becomes a survival decision. You are making a conscious choice. You're choosing your own sanity over their comfort. But, and this is a big but, what about the guilt, right? This is when society really turns up the pressure. And what's the number one weapon they use? That old, tired phrase, but blood is thicker than water, as if that ends the conversation. Well, here's the kicker. The irony is just amazing. That quote has been twisted and cut in half for centuries. The full, original saying is, the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. It means the bonds you choose, the covenants you make, are stronger than the family you just happen to be born into. It's literally an argument for the very thing the person is doing. Okay, so you've made this incredibly hard, gut-wrenching decision. What happens next? This is about the journey forward, the difficult but incredibly rewarding path of healing and building a new life, this time on your own terms. This is where we get to talk about something really beautiful, the idea of a chosen family. And the difference is staggering. You go from a world of obligation and guilt to one of mutual respect. You go from assigned roles to real authenticity, from unspoken secrets to genuine care, from love that's conditional to an acceptance that is finally, truly unconditional.
You know, there's a perfect way to think about this. A gardener will prune a dead or sick branch, right? They don't do it because they hate the tree. Of course not. They do it so the rest of the tree can get the sunlight and nutrients it needs to actually thrive. This isn't an act of hate, it's an act of deep love for the whole, which in this case is your own life.
And you have to understand, the ripple effects of this decision are huge. We're talking generational. By refusing to play the game, you don't just save yourself, you stop that family's shadow, all those toxic patterns, from being passed down to your kids and their kids. You become the one who says the curse stops with me. You become a cycle breaker.
So at the end of the day, walking away is not weakness, it's the exact opposite. It's a declaration that your life, your mind, your spirit, they matter. It's an act of incredible strength and profound self-love, and it deserves to be seen not as a failure, but as an absolute triumph. So let's just throw out the old story, shall we? The one about tragedy and failure. And let's ask a new question. What if leaving isn't the sad end of your family story, but the powerful, true beginning of your own?